I need to unmute us so people can hear us as well as see us. Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever it is for you right now. Thrilled to be with you all here. I think I've got a flicker from my monitor. I might figure that out later. It's not a big deal. Thanks so much for joining. This is the monthly Azure Functions webcast that we haven't done for the last 2 months, but that's okay for good reason. I am Jeff Holland. I'm a product manager on the Azure Functions team, and we have more new guests. I really want to make sure that folks get to meet some of the amazing minds behind Azure Functions as it is. I'll let them introduce themselves in just a second. If this is your first time joining, first off, thank you so much. You're in for a treat. This is a chance for us as a team to share what's new. We're going to give some hints and previews and announcements about what's coming. And one of my favorite parts is we're going to highlight a bunch of the amazing work from you all in the community. There's a lot of great stuff there that we're going to share. But before we get into that, I do want to introduce our amazing guests. Pragna, do you want to go first and let folks know who you are and what you do?
Sure. Hello, I'm Pragna. I am a developer on Azure Functions. I have been with Functions for quite some time, almost from the beginning, mostly working on the features, runtime features. My main focus for the past couple of years has been language extensibility. Pretty much anything non.NET today, I worked on that layer. My most recent sort of big feature has been custom handlers. Apart from that, I do work on sort of platform integration wherever function runs, performance improvements, cold starts. Yeah, great to be here, and this is my first time, so
yeah, it's great to have you.
Yeah.
All right, and we have another guest as well, which is Shelton. Shelton, you want to do the same?
Yeah, sure. Everyone, I'm Shelton Graves. I am the product marketing manager for Azure Functions as well as static web apps. So a lot of my work is behind the scenes. Some of my work out there is on Azure Tech Community, writing various blog posts about the wonderful things that we were doing for functions and serverless, and any kind of more customer-facing marketing material. So helping kind of promote, bring the awareness to functions and serverless.
Yep, Shelton's been awesome to have on the team and get to work with him, and he helps a ton. Whenever exciting things happen, Shelton gets to be involved. He gets to do all the fun stuff of like what's new, what's exciting. And our first question, and I encourage folks as we go ahead and pop questions in the chat window. We will answer questions as we go. Our first one's a great one from Jay. And Jay asks, so it's a monthly webcast. Is this monthly by the day, the 21st of each month, the third Thursday of each month? You know, we really should have a better system. It's more monthly in we follow our heart. Every month we'll be like, we need a webcast. Let's find an hour around this hour that we can do it. Then we schedule it and we try to let people know on Twitter. It seems to be working okay, but I'm sure for you viewers, you're like, I never know when the next webcast is going to be. If you're following us on Twitter, you'll get some notice. If you subscribe to this channel and click the little bell thing, you'll get a notification too. So that's why I always want to make sure to tell people, like and subscribe, smash that like button. And again, I can't go a month without giving appreciation. I log in this morning to make sure that the stream's all set up. Pragna, Shelton, any guesses on how many likes we got even before we started broadcasting, before they even knew if the content was going to be any good or not? Any guesses?
100.
Oh, wow. Next month. 17.
I'm going to say...
Oh, it's 17. Oh, now it's at 20, though. Whenever we talk about it, people hit it. Yes. Okay. So thank you very much. All right. Let's jump into it. And thank you. And I see some questions coming in already. And I also see some folks from our team like Anthony, who are lurking in the shadows, who you might see answering questions as well. Anthony's one of the product managers on our team too. So with that, we have plenty to show, and Pragna's got a very cool demo. Let's switch over to some of the content we have. So welcome to our stream. Let's talk about some new stuff. This first one is a big one, and we'll probably talk about it a bit today. I don't know how much we'll talk about it this moment. Oh no, actually two. This is a huge achievement. It was something we talked about the last time we had this chat back in October. .NET 2.2 upgrades. Pragna, you have been deeply involved in this process of taking these function apps that we're targeting .NET 2.2, auto-upgrading them so that they're running with some newer .NET tech behind the scenes. I guess anything else you want to add here other than massive kudos for helping make that happen?
So we pushed out the upgrade itself is complete. So if you are running on Functions v2, you're now, when in Azure, you are running on .NET Core 3.1. If you do run into issues, we still have the announcement issue open and the discussion issue is still open. We're actively watching. I think we would be in the same phase at least until another month, just to make sure every application or any other new issues that we react to them quickly.
Perfect. All right, moving right along then. This is the slightly rated one, but we have .NET 5 out of process in a preview form right now, which is on GitHub. In fact, I should have the link. If Anthony's still there, I think he has admin powers and he can actually post URLs. But there is now a GitHub repo where you can go through a sample of writing a .NET 5 function. This is a really useful thing. It is out of process though. I guess even Pragna, do you want to give a brief overview of like, what does that mean? Maybe for folks newer to this webcast or newer to functions, what does this out of process qualifier mean and how is it different than how .NET functions have worked in the past?
So far, for C# specifically, your function apps would be running in the same process as our host, or we also call it runtime. But every other language has been running out of process for quite some time now, for almost like 2+ years. Node, Java, Python are the push for .NET 5 to be out of process is to get us to a point where host and run or functions host is completely decoupled from the user code, so that users can bring in their own dependencies, and it's not tied to the .NET version that the functions host is running on. That's the ultimate goal. We have been making good progress there. The main difference would be in the programming model, because when you're running in process, you have access to the underlying trigger SDKs, and the events are delivered to you in the first class type, so the SDK provides to you directly. Out of process is a little bit different. It's a work in progress. We have the preview out. We do want to gather as much feedback as possible, and then head in that direction. Keep improving the programming model and sort of iterate on top of that. I think I believe it's the right direction. Hopefully, we will make everybody happy someday.
I definitely agree. That might be a bit ambitious that we make everyone happy, but I think we will continue to make more and more people happy. Great explanation, great overview.
Yeah.
Hey, if we can make everyone happy, if any team's going to do it, it's going to be the Azure Functions team, let's be honest. Shelton, you just want to give a quick readout of this feature? I think this was the one I was going to have you talk about.
Yes, so Durable Functions 2.4, I think this release shortly before the holidays, I believe.
Yeah, that's right. Yep. This isn't even the one I asked you to do, but yes, Durable 2.4 is out. I did play some with this one. This comes with some of the new preview for distributed tracing, which is pretty cool. So we're checking that out. Shelton, I'll let you grab this next one as well.
And then late last year, Nova 14 came on public preview. And then RabbitMQ. I know this one was right before Christmas, so it probably flew a little bit under the radar. But now with RabbitMQ is now GA, so it's been public preview for a little while now. But now the GA, so you can use it to send and receive any messages using the RabbitMQ API.
Yep, perfect. And sorry, I was just grabbing a few of these questions that are coming in chat so we can answer them a little bit later. More previews here. We'll just kind of run through some of these. They're pretty self-explanatory. Oh yeah, this one this one might be news to many of you because I don't actually think we've announced this one yet, but we are going to imminently, I hope. But Python 3.9 is coming out. I believe tomorrow, so keep an eye out. But since we're doing this today and it's coming very soon, coming that way too. And if someone can correct me, it might be what's coming, but it's imminent. We also published a doc, which is useful. Speaking of Python, Python performance is a little bit unique, and so there's a new doc that I'd recommend folks check out on best practices to help make sure that you are building your app in a way that you're taking advantage of all the good stuff. This is a great what's new, because I saw Tom at one point was in the chat window, and Pragna was also involved in this one too. Pragna, what is this, and how did it come to be?
So yes, KDA 2.0 is part of Core Tools now. The latest release on NPM, it has the bits. You should try it out.
Yep. And did you write all the code for this? Who wrote all the code? Do you know? Do you remember the name?
Yeah, Tom.
Tom.
Yeah,
Kirk,
yeah.
oh, yeah.
I just helped code review it. So yes, he did all the work,
Yes.
and he has been a contributor. I have seen his pull requests in the past too. He has been a contributor to KDA for quite some time now.
Yeah, he's one of the KDA maintainers, an Azure MVP, I think, on the chat. So cool to have a what's new and also a community highlight as well. And then I think this is the last one, custom handlers, which lets you write functions in any language. You should just go to Anthony's GitHub account. Speaking of Anthony, and he's got like 18 samples from like every language known to man, many that I've never heard of. But that's G8. There's also
I can't even pronounce.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, this is a language. If it's a language, Anthony has tried to build a custom handler for it. I don't know if you saw this, Pragna or Shelton as well, but there are even some new docs. So if you want to get started writing like a Go function or a Rust function, there's some docs on the doc site to help walk you through that using this new custom handler stuff.
I didn't see that, but what I did see, Anthony also has a YouTube channel where he goes over Go and custom handlers. So check that out as well.
What? I did not know this.
I can post. I can post the link.
Yeah, see if you can't, go ahead and just post a message and I'll promote you to an admin. But that is cool. I didn't actually know that. Somehow that missed my radar. So I'm glad you brought that up. Okay. It might, if it gives you a hard time and it won't let you post the URL, just say like hi and I'll see your name and I'll make you an admin. Okay. And then, this other one must have been added a little bit later, but Java Functions on Linux is now GA. So if you want to target Java Functions on Linux. Okay, great. I see I'm going to make you an admin right here. Boom. You should now be able to actually post that URL because it didn't come through. It just says YouTube. All right. Oh, not community. Oh, don't look at that yet, because before we go there, Pragna has come prepared to show us some very cool features that we've talked about on the webcast before, but we haven't gone too deep into it. And there's also some new developments. And so, Pragna, this is where you can tell whatever you want to tell us about this exciting feature.
Sure. Should I start presenting?
Sure, that works great. If you have got some to share, I can show your screen to the world.
Okay, give me one second.
No worries. And I've teased it a bit. It's the retry policy support that Pragna's going to talk a little bit about before, which when we announced it got a very good response. Okay, we see it. We are looking at the retry policies doc page.
Okay,
which
great.
Looks incredibly well written, by the way, if I could just say.
Yeah, authored by Jeff. This is a new feature, fairly new feature. We just introduced just before the holidays, and we're flagging it as preview to gather more feedback and enhance the feature a little bit more. So I can talk a little bit about what the feature is, and then I'll show a little quick demo about it too. So one of the feature itself is mainly driven by user feedback. And one of the motivations has been Event Hub Trigger, which doesn't have a built-in retries. So while designing the feature, we realized that having a generic retry policy that's applicable to any trigger is going to be quite useful. Instead of introducing just something very specific in scope to Event Hub, we went ahead and added this in our SDK itself, a retry policy which can be applied to any trigger. and few options that are configurable. So we introduced, as of now, we have two retry strategies, fixed delay and exponential back off. Fixed delay waits for a specific amount of time before retrying an execution. And exponential back off, as the name states, like it starts and then randomly increases the delay up to a maximum delay. So the execution is considered to be complete either when it succeeds or the number of maximum retries. So maximum retry count is configurable too, or the number of maximum retries is exceeded. We also have, so I'm showing the public documentation. So you should, you can try it now, and we have code samples for all the languages. So another thing to note is the retry policy can be applied at the function level or function app level. The retry policy that's at the function level takes precedence over the policy that's applied at the function host level. By default, there's no retry policy today. In C#, this can be achieved by the new attributes we added: fixed delay retry and the exponential backoff retry. Okay, let me quickly switch to a demo, and I'll show you how it looks in Node.js. So this is a Node.js function, and we introduced retry section, new retry section in the function.json, and it follows the schema is you can specify a delay strategy. Here it's a fixed delay, and the delay interval here is 3 seconds. That means that and the max retry is like set to 4. So this function execution, if there's a failure, would be retried 4 times, and each retry is spaced 3 seconds. That's what this means. One of the most common use cases would be handling transient errors in a function execution. So that's what this example is trying to simulate. It's nothing fancy. It's purely to demonstrate what happens if there's a failure. So this function is intentionally throwing errors on first few invocations, and then and eventually it succeeds. Let's go ahead and execute this function, and we'll look at the logs, what the logs look like. So let's. All right. So the first few, so the retries are supposed to be an invocation here has multiple executions, and each execution is assigned a new invocation ID, but from the function on the client side, it's all a single execution. So you can think of this as instead of handling these transient errors on the client side, a single function execution is doing the retries for you. I just want to highlight few things here. So this is the invocation ID that started, and it failed with an error because we were throwing it. And then the next invocation ID is here that tells us that that's the next retry, and then another one, and finally it succeeded. So this succeeded execution is what you're seeing here. One other thing to highlight is we do have few triggers that have built-in retries, such as Azure queues, Azure blobs. This retry policy is applied on top of it. So for example, as the default behavior for an Azure queue trigger is we would try it up to 5 times before it moves to poison queue. So if you apply a retry policy, for example, let's say max retry of count 2, then that message would be tried 10 times. And that's pretty much, I think, what this documentation is trying to explain as well. That's something to keep in mind. And another thing is this retry count is not persisted. It's per functions host instance. So if a functions host instance crashes in the middle for any reason, the retry is sort of restarted. Again, this is something we are open to collecting more feedback and adding and enhancing the feature more. I think that's all I have. I can stop presenting.
Sure. Yeah, that was perfect. And we got a few questions. There was a bit of a hiccup in the stream. My broadcast software says we're pushing good, but YouTube gave us a bit of a warning just in the middle, but it came back. And so mostly just apologies, folks. Hopefully it's working for you now. I'm getting green signals across the board, but I also do have a recording, and I'm going to replace the video with my local recording later today. But everyone saw this, and a fantastic job, Pragna, explaining that. There's a few questions. Do you want to answer a few questions on the retry policy that popped in while we were there?
Yeah,
maybe
sure.
Maybe we'll start with this one, which was from Tom, who we've given a lot of thought to today already. When we built this, is this based on Poly for one? So like, did we use the Poly? I don't know if you're familiar with the Poly.NET library. So that was the first half of the question. And the second half is also, do we expect to have a circuit breaker pattern? Which, yeah, I don't know which one of those or either one of those you want to give some insight to.
I can try answering both. We did try starting. I think the very initial design had Poly, but we didn't want to take dependency on another external package. We wanted to be like something independent, and I think the documentation is probably missing that. In C# today, you can implement your own retry strategies. So that's where, so if you do want to have circuit breaker pattern or another, any sort of well-known library, you could. So we exposed iRetry strategy, sorry. That's a public interface, and you can implement your own delay. Like, so we call, and again, this is for C#. For other languages, we'll figure out a way how we can get there. I do want to say that, yeah, so you implement your own retry strategy, you stick it into your attribute, and then the fixed delay, whatever I showed, can be your code that's telling you between the executions, this is what you want to do.
Yep, perfect. Yeah, and that is a little nugget that isn't even documented too, and that you can implement your own. And then the only other one, Tatsuro, who's an amazing functions community member as well. And I believe, Tatsuro, you've even written a few blogs on this retry policy, but he pasted one. I think you can see the latest chat message. Retry policy worked perfectly as expected for him. But the second one, at the very beginning of your presentation, you said that it's already saved his life, which is quite impressive. So this is a life-saving feature, folks, that we even have some new updates coming, is Pragna alluded to. So awesome job. Thank you very much for giving a walkthrough of this very important feature, how you can use it across different languages, some of the knobs that you have to configure that too. Okay, moving right along then, community highlights. There's a bunch of content that we pulled of some awesome contributions we've seen from the community. I know you won't be able to click your stream to follow some of these links. So if you go to ak.ms/function/links, it will take you to this list with clickable links in any web browser. With that said, though, Shelton, any of these that you want to highlight or give a shout out to of some excellent content that you've seen folks creating around the world?
Yeah, so PowerShell has gotten a lot of love, and specifically in relation to release pipelines. And we have two flavors with options with functions. You can either use Azure DevOps or GitHub Actions. So both Barbara and Dave have posted various blogs on how you can use your PowerShell functions and deploy them with either GitHub Actions or Azure DevOps. Another one I'll touch on is Azure Functions University. So to another set of our MVPs have joined forces to create Azure Functions University, which is a free learning course that they're doing by Mark and Gwyneth. So shout out to both Mark and Gwyneth. I know they're huge advocates of serverless and helping us spread the message. So check out their YouTube. They do live coding sessions, but previous sessions are on YouTube. So please look for that and check it out. It was a cool way to learn more about Azure Functions.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, and that Functions University, I was just looking at, I think they're up to like 5 or 6 talking about everything from deployments to blobs. In fact, I think even in the chat earlier, some folks were asking like, hey, how can I use the blob output binding? And they've got some content around using the blob trigger and such too. So definitely check that out. And yeah, we talked a bit about the PR from Tom, so I figured I'd flag that. For folks using durable functions, I don't think we've actually plugged this in a webcast yet, but Konstantin, who works at Microsoft, which is good because when I shared this with the team, the first response was like, can we hire him? And it's like, hey, somebody already did. But there's this library called Durable Functions Monitor that just provides a bunch of additional info. If using durable functions, you should check out. I've got to just give a shout out to Barbara too. Like when I was going through the functions timeline to refresh my memory on some of the content, Barbara has been on a roll lately. Some really great blog posts. This isn't the only one. But also Barbara has completed, we have like the Seasons of Serverless event just finished and the 25 Days of Serverless the year before. Barbara completed fully both of those. Got some nice letters from our cloud advocates on saying thank you. Like awesome job and just thrilled to see the content that you're helping produce. So thanks a ton. Oh, great. And you are still around because I see you posting that you love PowerShell. Yeah, all this PowerShell content is amazing. So thank you, Barbara. Thanks, everyone. Serverless notes. This is just one of their most recent articles. They've got like 50 of these best practices and tips in there. Sumit's got a whole series around writing .NET that's great for beginners. We love you all. Thank you very much. Okay. Now we get to the part. Oh, I hear... I'm on babysitting duty, by the way. So if you hear a little rumble of chatter, this is my life. But that's okay. We're working through it. All right. So now we'll talk about what's coming, and then we'll answer a bunch more of your questions. Okay. So on retry policy, Pragna, what more is coming on retry policy? We're not done yet.
Yes. So we. As I mentioned earlier, we're pretty much very much open to feedback, and we want to make sure most of the scenarios that the users are requiring is covered. One of the enhancements that's coming is we're going to expose retry context that can be accessed within your function code. So that tells you what is the retry count, what's the max retry count, and also what is the exception that actually caused the retry, like the previous failure exception is also accessible, so that you can write code inspecting that and decide whether, okay, the previous exception is transient or you want to completely fail or keep continuing.
Yeah. Yeah, this was when we first talked about retry policy. This was one of the first requests we got, which was like, hey, I maybe want to like do something differently on the final retry attempt, or depending on the thing that's causing the retries. And previously, we weren't exposing that directly through this feature, and now we will. I see notifications all the time that this pull request is making progress, so I get the feeling that this is like weeks away, like a short amount of weeks away before it rolls into the hands of everyone watching here. Okay, another thing that is coming, we've talked some about this, and there's been some chatter on the, sorry, I got distracted by Miriam's great chat, which was that, unfortunately, of all of the things that I have functions wired up in my office, which it controls my lights, it controls a bunch of stuff, I haven't yet IoT-ified my anything baby related. I should do that. I should get functions to power some part of my life. But anyway, back to .NET 5. There's more coming here. I think there were some folks talking about using Entity Framework. It gets like, even one of the questions was like, can I use Entity Framework 5 in Functions v3? The answer is no, and you probably won't be able to, because Entity Framework 5 has dependencies on .NET Core 5, and .NET Core 5 won't run within v3. It will only run in this new thing. this new out-of-process worker. So if you want to use Entity Framework 5, you're going to need to use it. I know that some folks are like, hey, I need this a bit better in Visual Studio Code, and even a few features that we're going to continue to add to make it production ready. That's all coming. The only thing I will flag here, I know that we have a lot of folks who are really excited to use .NET 5, and you've heard so much great things about it, and we are excited to let you use .NET 5 too. When you see us announce this is production ready, you're going to see some very intentful wording around what this is, because .NET 5 will not be generally available in the sense of when we make a feature generally available. In general, we want to make sure when folks deploy something into our service that's generally available, that they can walk away and not touch the thing, and it's not going to break or stop working. And if we end up needing to make a change, like a deprecation or something else, we want to give you a ton of notice in advance, at the very least a year, to say, like, by the way, you don't need to touch this thing, but if you don't touch it for a year, things might stop working. We can't do that with .NET 5, because .NET 5 is a unique .NET release in their new release cadences, where .NET 5 is going to go end of life in 10 months. Like 10 months from today, .NET 5 will no longer be supported by the .NET team, not just by the Azure Functions team. And so you'll be able to run this in production, but that timer already started. So if you're really eager to get something running in production in .NET 5, that's cool, but just know you need to come back in October or November or whenever, and you need to move that stuff over to .NET 6, or else it's going to be out of support. And if there's a security patch, it's not going to come to .NET 5 after that thing reaches end of life. So this is, if you're using other languages like JavaScript or Java or Python, this is not an an odd world. If you go to like node.js.org, you will say like, this is the LTS version that's recommended for everyone, and this is the cutting edge version that's only recommended if you're okay having a limited support cycle. .NET 5's that kind of cutting edge version. .NET 6 is going to be a bit more traditional LTS. So it's something new. But I want to flag that because I don't want people to be disappointed come October when you realize you got to do something if you want to keep being secured and getting those patches on your function. Hopefully that makes sense. Pragna, anything else you'd want to flag there or add? I don't know if we covered most of it between this chat and our earlier one.
I think you covered like pretty much all the main points. Yeah.
Great. And we will, I guess the only thing on what's coming, like, you will see some movement in .NET 6 soon. Like, you didn't see a project of how to create a .NET 5 function until December, and .NET 5 went production ready, I guess, in November. .NET 6, you'll see some bits earlier. We plan to have a .NET 6 preview in the next few months, and we plan to GA .NET 6 extremely close, within the minute if we can. We'll see. I'm not going to make any promises this far out, but like .NET 6, hitching your wagon to .NET 6 is maybe not a bad idea. And we're already spinning cycles and getting that stuff working. So I want to be transparent about this. I know there's been a lot of chatter on Twitter. A lot of people have been saying mean things about me, and that's okay. I love you all. I understand the disappointment. It's like there's something new and exciting, and people on Twitter are telling me that this is going to save the world, and I'm having a hard time using it in functions, and I feel your pain, and I want you to use it in functions. But this is something we're growing through, and there's a few growing pains. So apologies for that. We're hearing you. We're making plans. Pragna's going to help us get there. She's going to lead the way. Yes, we're all going to be okay. We're all going to be okay, I promise. But also keep us honest. And there's a GitHub issue that Anthony mentioned where if you're having any issues, or if this doesn't make sense, or if it sounds like we're heading in a very wrong direction, let us know. We're listening. We don't claim to have all the answers. That felt good. I wanted to have this webcast weeks ago when a lot of people were very, very frustrated, understandably so. Quickly, we'll just run through this and then we'll do questions. Deployment Center preview. This is a very cool new addition to Deployment Center where you can automatically generate GitHub actions for any function project. It's going GA very soon. So the idea here is like you create a project in Visual Studio or VS Code, you check it into GitHub, you open up your app in the portal, and you say, I want you to make this destination in GitHub power this function app. It will go generate for you the GitHub actions, build the CI/CD process, deploy it into your app. It's really slick. Very cool. Try it out. It's going to be GA soon. And Key Vault, if you're using premium functions and you have your Key Vault behind a VNet, today you'll hit some issues where we're like, we can't talk to your Key Vault. That's going to go away soon too. All right. Questions that have come in. So I've got a few. And we will actually, this one, Tiago, we kind of addressed this one already. Does this mean we'll be able to run .NET Core 6 on day one of GA? Day one of preview, probably not, because we only get the preview bits around when you all do. But we do plan to have a preview shortly. And our goal is, again, in the spirit of transparency, my goal is that on day one, you will be able to write .NET 6 functions in production. That's my goal. You can hold me to it. Okay. Yeah, we talked about entity framework, retry policy. Yeah, I think we've actually grabbed a lot of these. We talked about poly already. Somebody was wondering if we could do an Azure Files trigger. We would love to, but there's not a way right now that I actually know we could pull that off very well. I think our hope has always been like, as Event Grid continues to grow, that Azure Files would work with Event Grid and that would work with functions. So we'll see. And hey, congratulations to everyone. It looks like we've had 100 chat messages today. So Restream gave us a trophy. Okay. So, and Josh, they're not actually saying mean things about me. They're just frustrated with functions, and I understand it. I really do understand it. I don't want to sound belittling. You want to use this really cool stuff, and you want to use cool stuff with cool stuff. .NET is cool. Functions are cool. Put two cool things together, and you have amazing. And we're not making it as easy as you want it to be. Okay. Case asked, and hello, Case, about static web apps, any support for root domain support without the www? I imagine Shelton and Pragna, you actually don't know the answer to this one. The answer, I believe, and Anthony will probably chime in chat too, we're working on it. I don't exactly know when it's going to land, but this is one of the top requests, along with having Azure DevOps tooling support. ETA for the VNet Key Vault restrictions, hard to say. It's one of our oh, thank you. Anthony said in the next month or two. On that VNet Key Vault stuff, it's in the next Antares release, Pragna. Ant92, I think is what it's called. I think that's probably going to put us at like the end of February timeframe.
That's the best ETA, yeah.
Mm-hmm. But those dates are... Don't place any monetary bets on that end of February thing. We are platform features are fun. If you remember from our previous journey of VNet storage accounts, which by the way is now generally available and around the globe. I forgot to put that in what's new. Okay, I don't see any more questions. Oh, Barbara. Ooh, great question. Pragna, I don't know if you know the answer to... Oh, no, there is some answers to this. Oh, but I've got we might have to wrap this up as I'm getting an impatient toddler upstairs. Plans on durable functions for PowerShell, when GA will come or when cooler options will become available. More of the durable surface. Pragna, have you been involved in any of the durable PowerShell stuff?
I don't know about the future plans. I know we have a preview out, but I'm not sure about the timeline for GA.
Yep. Same. There is a preview. It has durable functions has a bunch of patterns, apparently very cooler ones even that are available. I'll go with that term. And yeah, it looks like it's about 2 to 3 months away. I'm not sure exactly what all new capabilities will be added in that timeline, but I do know it's being tracked by Anthony and Anatoly and Chris. And I think 2 of those 3 people are on the chat with us right now, playing this in the background. Okay, as we get ready to wrap this up so that I can go take care of toddler.
That's a Sev 1 right there.
That's a Sev 1. I'll tell you, this is probably you don't have to share any more details. How old are your kids now?
Oh, they're 5.5, 3.5, but it's still a Sev 0, Sev 1.
Oh yeah, for sure. But the latest edition, the newest update, if we want function updates on Jeff's son, 9-month-old now, is that he has just learned that he can crawl up and stand on his crib and just stand there and yell when he wants to get out. And so now every time we put him down for a nap, he's just like, nope, I'm just going to stand up here. He hasn't learned how to get back down though. Like he can stand up. He doesn't know how to get down. So he'll just stand there and scream, which is what he's doing now. He's like, I'm up.
See, that's from Sev 1 upgrading to Sev 0 slowly.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, and since Shelton, you have new additions to your family too, though. We need baby updates. We need 3.5-year-old updates. Shelton, what's the update on your family and your situation there? Oh, you're muted. We can't hear you. We heard you a second ago.
Yeah, I was muted. Sorry. Yeah,
Yep.
I have a 4-month-old pup, a 4-month puppy. So it's Golden Doodle. He's not with me right now. He escaped, so I have to go get him. He's with his mom right now.
Oh wait, okay. He's being taken care of. He didn't run away, and you're like, listen,
Yeah,
I'm in the middle of a live stream. Like, find your way home.
So we had to keep him occupied for the first a little bit of the show, but now he's with his mom.
That's great. Okay, well, thank you all very much. I don't see any more questions coming in. Pragna, Shelton, thank you so much for joining. Thank you for those who joined. Apologies for that technical hiccup in the middle, but it seems like most people were able to get it. And appreciate all the well wishes for family. And hopefully you're all doing well too. I mean, we're in what, like month 11 of most of us working from home and juggling family. And I even see people in chat where I know you're in the same boat as the rest of us. It's an interesting juggle. So we're in it together. Maybe functions can make our life easier. Who knows? But that's not even the most important thing. So thanks, everyone. We'll do this again in February. Maybe we'll do another themed webcast, Valentine's Day themed. I'll find some like heart animations, heart stinger animations. I don't know. Yeah. Any final thoughts from either of you? Or are we ready to go?
Yeah, thank you for inviting me, and it's fun. So yeah, I'm looking forward to maybe more of these.
For sure. Thank
Same.
you both so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks a ton.
Bye.
Okay. See everyone.
All right.